guys, it's me, Ruowen Huang. Today, I'm gonna answer a question because yesterday someone asked me a question and I thought, actually I was thinking about I should dedicate one day to answer the question that I've been leaving on my Facebook or blog. Otherwise, it just seems to continuously accumulating. I don't know when will I able to answer it all if I'm always having a topic to talk about. But anyway, before I start, I wanna introduce myself. My name is Ruowen Huang. I'm an author, spirit coach, and also a psychic. Today, I want to answer a question which I believe is a lot of people's question. Soon you will see I always try to answer the question if I think is a lot of people's question, right? So anyway, it was a follower leaving a question asking me if I ever had this experience, like once in their life they thought they finally find something they so want to do, but eventually it seems to become boring again. And then because of that, because they cannot concentrate on one thing, or because what they thought is right now become wrong, it start accumulate more problem or illness. So they will make the illness to keep them busy instead of focusing or searching what they want to do in life. So it seems like their life just continue repeating like this, and then eventually they realize they don't want anything at all, so they become very demotivated. So the girl want to say this kind of feeling is so helpless. So just want to know if I have this kind of solution, like this kind of experience, right? So here I will share with you what experience I have. As you know, I spend majority of time being sick when I was kids, right? So when I went to school, or if I did have a chance to go to school, I want to learn everything. But meanwhile, I don't have that kind of attention span to pick up everything, for example, right? So when I grow to teenager life, you know how, thank God I was born in that time. Because at that time, there's no term called ADHD, right? Now it does. But, one day we would come back and talk about ADHD. But if I was born nowadays, I literally would be labeled ADHD because I cannot concentrate on one thing. It seems I'm all over the place and there's no pattern and there's no like that one thing that it seems like I just got hard time concentrate on one thing for too long. So, it doesn't matter what it is. So if I change job, it doesn't seem like, I know this is a field I want to do, and I'm always changing around. So it getting kind of worse when I was growing to adulthood, which you would say about 18-year-old to 25 years old, right? So I did experience what I experienced because, I picked up writing and I thought, this is something my soul want to do. And then I did it for a while, then I got tired of it, right? Because it's nothing new, right? Then I would pick up, different job, or I would pick up, totally opposite job. That's why, friends or family will always comment like, why am I always changing job? And then it seems like there's no continuity of one position, right? If I'm changing job all the time like this, it seems like everything I do, I always start from the scratch, and then there is no, reference or record to continue moving forward. You know what I mean? So I knew how that felt because it feels like you are not good at anything. You know what I mean? At least when I was a teenager, I thought I'm just not good at anything because, I can only learn everything a little bit. So that's why you would know I gone through all kind of business, right? I would do trading, I would do restaurant, I would do service business, I would do even commercial, film production. I do all kind of job, right? So what was a breakthrough for me? Because I living my life, I don't know if I apply to everybody, but basically from my experiences, even I don't like something, I can do it good, right? But it's that feeling that I don't really love it that bothers me, because I don't really love it, even though I'm good at it. Therefore, it's easy for me to just drop it. You know what I mean? So I can do one job like really good, even though you got good pay, good salary, probably good working hour or things like that. even I'm good at my position, but because my heart is not feeling it, so it's easy for me to just drop it. Right, drop it and change a completely different job. And it actually applied to my reading habit too. I don't follow one author, right, or one type of book, right. My book reading habit is totally evidence of ADHD case. Why so? Because my books seem to jump all over the place. I can be reading one spiritual book today, but next day when you ask me what I'm reading, I will be reading, computer studying book. Or next day you ask me what I'm reading, I will be reading, kids novel, or it's just all over the place because I seem to pick whatever my mood tell me to read, right? So anyway, what I try to say is it was me. When I was young, I thought it was a problem because it seems like I cannot concentrate on one thing, or at least all my friends and family tell me it is a problem. You know what I mean? And I somehow believe it is a problem because I'm somehow convinced by them or by my society, right? The first time in my life actually have a breakthrough or possibilities, to see possibility, is actually when I start getting to film production. So this film production is not a movie. We actually is a commercial film production. So you guys all know first, you guys will have idea how film production work, right? Go, 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 go. Like always go, 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 like that, right? Commercial film production is a little bit different, or I should say very different from a movie or TV show or anything like that. We have 1 month to create a baby, basically called baby. We have 1 month to create a brand new commercial from nowhere, right? So we will start discussing how it should be, brainstorming, and then start putting into production. Anyway, what I say, and using certain amount of money to create a 30-second film or sometimes 1 minute, right? And then what happened is when the film is done, that's it. We drop it. We drop it and we move on to the next commercial, which would be completely different story, right? Altogether. When I got into this field, which I never did before I just did all the traditional work, right? And I don't understand why I seem to always want to leave because I couldn't concentrate. I'm always feeling bored in the job. I'm not motivated and things like that. When I got into this film production job, that's the first time in my life I realized I don't have to like one thing. You know what I mean? Or good at doing only one thing. Life can actually have very diverse events. You know what I mean? I can be interested in this, but I can also interested in this. So instead of thinking my life is only one way and one way only, and I had to focusing on, one thing and be good at one thing. Through that working experience or working in film production, right? I start to realize it doesn't have to be like that. You know what I mean? Like I can be momentarily interested in this thing. Instead of looking at my life as one thing, I start to think it could be various projects. So what I start doing, which my husband would tell you so many of them, is I start embrace my random impulse of doing something. Like before I would try to brush it off, say, no, focus. If you are painting, focusing on painting, don't do anything else. And then part of me might say, but I want to do sewing, or I want to do, traveling, or I want to do something, right? Before I would try to put it away and say, no, don't do that. That's wrong because you got to focusing on one thing. If you want to study computer, you're focusing on computer. You want to study English, you're focusing on English. Don't think about learning French and don't study German. You know what I mean? Because of that experience, I start switch my mind a little bit. What if I was wrong all this time? What if life is not just stay in one path, which I know some people were born that way, right? But as I say, everybody are different. They're meant to be that way because, we need people like that, right? But maybe this world need people like me who just jumping all over the place. What we do is we continue collecting all different, information or reference or whatever, right? So to spice it up a little, you know what I mean? So I start to, instead of denying there is part of me that cannot concentrate it, I start to embrace There's a part of me who cannot concentrate in one thing for a long time. So what I did is I start with my personal hobby, right? So my personal hobby is, if this moment, a period of time, I feel like painting, I would paint tons of it. I just continue painting it. Somehow, some way, when I'm done, right, which my husband will probably tell you usually lasts about 1 month or 2 months or sometimes 3 months, depends on how much I want that something. I like that something, right? And when I'm done, I'm done. Next thing, I might jump to sewing. All of a sudden, I start sewing tons of things, right? And then I just start sewing like crazy. I'm making everybody's clothes, or even if I make enough of my kids' clothes, I start making clothes for other people. And then for a period of time, I'm done. Then I start going to I don't know, painting the wall. Instead of canvas painting, I go to painting the wall. I go into coloring. Sometimes I'm into hiking, and I would do a lot of hiking. Or sometimes if I'm into doing Zumba, for example, that's one thing later on you experience that I'm into Zumba, I will continue doing Zumba. You know what I mean? So what happened is, instead of denying myself, say no, you can only focusing on one thing. What I did is I simply embrace I can focusing on one thing. So what I cannot focusing on one thing. I just continue, allow my soul to tell me what I should do. If I feel like doing it, then I would do it. To my surprise, I realized when I start allowing myself to do that, I actually open the door to accept myself. Because I accepting myself, I realize all those habits which I think that I cannot concentrate at the first place, or which I think would make me feel bored or something, they seem to do have its own rotation coming around, right? That means I might into sewing right now, but 5 years later, all of a sudden I'm into sewing again, or I'm into reupholster the furniture. I would change all the cover out of furniture, and then after 4 or 5 years, all of a sudden that feeling come again, and I'm into that again, right? So it does rotate, and then because it rotates, and then somehow every time you rotate, my skill get a little bit better and better and better. So that I also realize it apply into my journey, my psychic study journey, which means, they might throw one thing to me, but then they will throw another thing to me. So when they throw one thing to me, I focus now. Where I am right now, what I want to know right now, and somehow, somewhere in that point, I'm not interested, I move on to the next. Because I also realize the same as my habit, right? It rotates somehow. All of a sudden, 5 years later, oh, that thing I didn't fully quite understand. I want to come back and understand it, but it's in my own term. You know what I mean? It's not what society want me to do. Say, hey, you want to study this? You got to focus. You got to do this only and this only. Now I feel like my universe or my spirit guide find a way for me to learn things or understand things in my own term, in my own way, right? That's why I I will be here sharing with you guys and let you guys know, it's okay. It's okay if you seems to have hard time focusing on one thing. Really, it's okay. Because what I realize is when you start to find a way, but it takes experiment, as I say, right? For me, it was through my job of being in, film production. I realized, light doesn't have to be one thing only. It can be all different things and all over the place. It's okay, right? For me, it's through that. But for you, I would suggest figure out a way to embrace yourself, right? Instead of always denying yourself what's wrong with me, which is where I was before, right? What's wrong with me? At that time, they would just say you have ADHD, and I probably believe that, right? So now I say, if you can find a way to embrace, this is who I am. You know what? This is who I am. There are some people who are good at doing one thing only, and maybe I just born to be all over the place. And that's okay, because that's the reason why I'm born this way, right? So when you are in that moment, right, really focusing on what do you like to do right now? Like, what do I want to do right now? What does my heart feel like doing right now, right? Instead of saying, what's wrong with me? If you continue saying, what's wrong with me? Of course, that, will accumulate disease, right? Illness, you'll feel demotivated because what you do is you continue finding the faults in you. If you can switch your mind and think, hey, you know what? There's nothing wrong with me. There's that crazy psychic out there doing just the same and she seems just fine. Yes, I am just fine. Just for your example. Yes, my habit jump all over the place. Sometimes people know how can I be interesting in science right away and they think I'm interested in that. It's all over the place. It's okay. It's my way of learning. And when you come to the end, you will realize the reason we come to this world is really, it's all about us. It's selfish saying, but please say this all the time. It's all about me. It's all about me. How I learn, how I evolve, how I come to become a better person, right? It's not about how other people want you to do, but you will always know the best who you want to be and how you want to be like someone. So anyway, just thought I share with you guys a little bit from my personal experience in regard to that question. So if you find yourself cannot focusing on one thing, don't worry about it. Move on to the next. Eventually, you will find something that motivates you. Okay? So again, if you like what I'm doing, you can always join me live on Periscope or go to my Facebook or subscribe my YouTube channel or my website, ruowen.com. Anyway, somebody have a great suggestion, at least from my point of view. They say you can share to my 100 episode. You can share with what you learn, gain, or achieve or experience from watching my Periscope. So on my 100th episode, I will read it out or share it with you all. So if you guys are interested in doing that, go to my Facebook and leave your comment. And till then, I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.